So the focus then is on the present moment. Watch your thoughts now. Become the observer. Bring the body repeatedly into the present moment. If you notice your mind wandering to the future, your body will begin to respond. Back to the present moment. If you start to feel an emotion, that's a familiar emotion, your body thinks it's in the past, and you limit the potential of the now. Attention to the feelings in the body, the sensations. This is how you trained it. Stay in the present. present. Stay with it. Relax your body into the present. Observe your thoughts. Bring your body back to the present. feeling. Bring your body into the feeling of the moment, relaxed. You can do this. Don't think, feel. Master of your body. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Welcome back. So, how many people became aware when they were rushing to the future? We do that all day long, but we don't notice it because we think it's normal. And when you became aware that you were rushing to the future and you brought your body back to the present moment, how many people noticed the body became agitated? Like, what the hell are you doing? I don't want to do that. Or how many people noticed that you felt impatient, like there was a sense of urgency, like a heightened feeling like it wanted to go somewhere, and you were making it sit there? How many people noticed that? That is the body that's become the mind that's anticipating a future moment that allows us to continuously collapse the wave function in the quantum field of the predictable reality that we live by. Did you get that? That is the state of mind that we live by every single day that we think is normal, that is anticipating the next moment that we already know that's going to happen in the familiar, that's collapsing the wave function of that familiar reality to unfold. The body is in the future, and it's literally moving in the next moment because we're putting it in the next moment because we are conditioning it to be in the next moment. Are you still with me? In other words, if you're noticing that your body's becoming agitated and it wants to move, or it wants to get up, or it wants to get mad at me because I'm taking too long and you want to take a break and where the hell is he and all of that stuff, that is the ego that's being endorsed by those emotional chemicals that's sitting behind the facade of how we present ourselves to be. Remember the gap of how we appear and who we really are? We got to get down to who we really are. And if you're sitting there and your body's raging, or it's wanting to get up, or it's getting mad, or it's getting frustrated, that's who you really are when you're not distracted by the external world. I mean, think about it. All I'm asking you to do is to stay in the present moment for 40 minutes. And your body, which has become the mind, is that unbridled stallion of mind that's bucking all over the place, that wants to go back or go up and see the girls, or wants to go eat, or doesn't want me to. And by the way, I've been thrown by that horse, just like the body throws us. And I walk over and I get back on that horse again, and I pull those reins in, and I don't fight it, and I don't yank on it. I bring him back and let him know that we're going to do this until he's done. Now, that sounds tedious, doesn't it? In the beginning, it takes enormous amount of conscious effort. But when we learn any skill, would you agree that it takes a certain amount of conscious effort in the beginning? And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. We go from unconsciously unskilled, like we don't even know that we don't even know, and that's kind of blissful. And then all of a sudden you learn a little knowledge, and then you become consciously unskilled, like now I know that I don't know. Then you learn and you practice and you become consciously skilled. We want to get to that point where you're unconsciously skilled, so that when you close your eyes and you start your meditation in the morning, if your body's rushing to the future and you're going to run through the meditation, I sit for 45 minutes sometimes, or an hour, getting that body back in the present moment because it's got to catch a plane or got to go somewhere, it's got to deliver a talk or got to do something or got to meet with certain people. And I'm thinking of all the things that I got to do. That's the predictable timeline that I was going to do if I just woke up and just got up and been myself. I don't want to do that. I'm going to take care of that at another time, but right now, we're going to get in the present moment. And the reason I want to get in the present moment is because if I condition my body into the present moment, look what exists for me. All of these unfold. But if I can't get my body in the present moment, I can create all I want, but my body is already on this agenda. It's already living in that future time. Does that make sense? And how many people got a little bit angry and a little bit miffed and a little bit impatient? Well, why is that? Because that's how you've conditioned your body emotionally. It's connected to some past. And so the elegance of the present moment is the moment your body starts to do that and you become conscious of the sensation. There's a physiological sensation that has driven you to act in predictable ways. Did you hear me? That physiological feeling has driven you to act in predictable ways. Whether it's overeating or smoking or, gossiping or sulking or whatever we do. That feeling that we run from, this down here of who we really are, has been distracted by the environment of how we present ourselves to be. I just eliminated the environment. That's all I did was eliminate this and all of its extraneous stimuli and your identity to that world, and now you're left with this. And as you begin to look at that feeling and you begin to see that agitation or that impatience or that anger or that frustration or that, analyzing or thinking about you're already on Thursday or Friday or Saturday of next week. We do that all the time. And literally, you're moving your awareness in linear time to Thursday, that potential. But it's in this predictable timeline. There's other unpredictable timelines that exist here. So as you begin to notice that your body begins to do that, and you become conscious of that unconscious program, and you settle the body down into the present moment, it's not going to like it at first. Because it's going to become uncomfortable because you're going against the program. You with me? And how do you think, then, people experience joy in their life? I mean, how can we ever experience joy if we can't relax and surrender into the present moment? And do you think that if you keep practicing this every single day and your body begins to surrender and relax into the present moment, you're going to be more relaxed in your life? Do you think so? I have sat some moments and I thought I was going to go absolutely insane. My body got so crazy because it had so much to do and so many things, and I made it sit there. And it was just like this untrained dog that was just all over the place. And I just waited. I said, I'm going to wait till you're done. And it felt really anxious and uncertain and frustrated and impatient. And the moment I started to notice those feelings as a sensation in the body, I said, okay, let's bring it back to the present moment and let's relax. I brought it all the way back and I relaxed. I did that enough times, and all of a sudden, energy started to be liberated out of my body. And when the energy was liberated in my body, what's the side effect of that? That's called joy. That's what it is. Because you're breaking the addiction. Does that make sense? And so if you practice that, would you agree then you would begin to have access to other potential realities that exist? If you don't practice it and you're rushing through your meditation to get to the next thing, you're doing that as the old personal self. Would you agree? The old identity. So geniuses. Remember I said in level 1 that your body is just gravitationally organized energy and light? That an atom is 99.9999% nothing and 1% matter? The person next to you looks like they're really a physical form, but they're a hologram. Pinch them. Go ahead, check. They feel real, don't they? But they're not. So if you're trapping emotion in your body, would you agree that you would have stuck energy in your body? And if the energy is stuck in your body and you keep bringing it into the present moment, can you understand how the body is going to start having pains in different places? Because it's not getting to go in the direction it wants to go. Come on, you with me? And when people actually do this and they begin to work on this, the side effect of this meditative process, the side effect of working on bringing themselves into the present moment, this mindfulness that's created, is that the body begins to expand its energy. And as it begins to expand its energy and it begins to break down those patterns, there's a reorganization of energy, and the person begins to feel lifted or lighter or looser or freer or more childlike, however you want to say it. Think of those kids in your life, or your kids when they were young, or when you were young. All there was the moment, and you didn't want the moment to end. Remember that? You were too engaged in it, and it was too real. You weren't thinking about anything else but the moment. Unfortunately, we program ourselves to be out of the moment. And the moment we move out of the moment is the moment we're missing out on possibility. Does that make sense? So then you understand then, when you get back into your life, that if you're going to wake up 30 minutes before and rush through your meditation, you may not, you might as well not even do it. Because what you're doing is you're doing it from the ego. You're doing it from the anticipation of, I'll get through this because then I'll feel spiritual so I can feel good about myself so I don't feel guilty and I'll continue on in my life. But I love the person who sits and challenges themselves. They're all over the place, they're moving, and boom, they settle in, they lock in. When they lock in, their body's raging in the beginning, but they're saying, you may not pass today. We're not going anywhere. And then you begin to love yourself because you made a choice for one more moment, one more moment, one more moment, a little bit more, a little bit. You took yourself right outside the boundaries of that comfort zone, that box of the brain that limits our feelings. You stretch yourself outside that feeling just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And all of a sudden it starts to get a little bit more enlarged. And your perception changes because as you break through those emotions, you begin to remove the filters that cause you to see reality the same way emotionally. Does that make sense? So the first step in the meditation is, of course, to breathe, as we've done last night. The breathing then begins to move energy in the body, change our physiology, to begin to move from survival to creation, to begin to loosen up our structure. And sometimes I breathe for 45 minutes. Why? Because I got to get past a lot of things sometimes. And I just keep breathing till I don't think any longer. And then the moment I stop thinking, the moment I start paying attention to I become conscious, use my consciousness to move through my body, what I want to do is I want to get from here to here and then finally out to here. And I want to move into an open focus state so my brain can begin to communicate in a more holistic fashion. That's what that does. That's Les Femi's work, and it has a lot to do with the biofeedback research that he did. The brain organizes itself the moment that happens. Now, once it's orderly, and once it's in place, then the next thing I do is I work on moving into the present moment so the body is enjoying the moment. And if it rushes to the future, if it's got another agenda, I want it to know that it's not going to happen today. We're going to sit here until we're relaxed in the present moment. And once I get into that state, now I'm ready to examine my beliefs and perceptions about myself. I'm ready to decide who I no longer want to be. I want to commune with that intelligence, that invisible field that's personal and universal, because now it's right at, I'm already right at its hand. I'm right in that place to be able to do that. So then when you get to that point where your body is relaxed and it's beginning to move into the present moment, can you see if you've done this enough times, 2 or 3 weeks, your body's going to begin to acquiesce to a new mind? And in your waking day, when anxiety starts or frustration starts, you're going to notice it as a feeling in your body in a matter of seconds, and what are you going to do? You're going to stop it, and you're going to move into the present moment, and you're going to realize, no one is worth that. I've worked too hard today to let myself fall from grace because I don't want to go into that place. Because the moment you allowed yourself in your meditation for that brain and body, that ego, to run wild, and you let it do it, thinking that it was justified, that is the exact attitude that creates most of the problems in our life. Do you understand that? And so the humility that's created in this process, when you're humble enough to realize, wow, I've really trained this body to be out of control. I've left it up to an unconscious mind, and it can't navigate. The simple process of becoming mindful will begin to heal the body in itself. Because the body doesn't want to live in the future, it wants to live in the moment. But if it's living in the future, anticipating, then we're on a very specific genetic timeline. we're going to live an environmental destiny. And if it's embracing emotions of frustration and anger, and you're thinking about things that happened 20 years ago, sometimes I'm in the middle of my meditation, I think I'm in this great place, and all of a sudden I think of something that happened when I was in college. I haven't thought about in 15 years. What is that? What is it? It's a memory coming out of the body. Do I judge it? Do I analyze it? No. I just remember the emotion, and I surrender it. I keep surrendering. I keep surrendering. I keep surrendering. I keep surrendering. And I stay conscious. There comes a moment when I'm staying conscious that all of a sudden I begin to go unconscious. I begin to lose track of time and space. And then that ego that's been planning and plotting and calculating and organizing and being in control, that ego with the louder voice becomes the quiet voice. And the conscience that's been urging me all along to be certain ways becomes the louder voice. And I create from that mind. So meditation means to become familiar with. The Tibetan word means to become familiar with, to make known, to know thyself. So if you become familiar with that mind in your body that's unconsciously driving you to certain choices and decisions in your life, even though you consciously want something else, it's that same mind that you're challenged by when you're sitting there still. Did you hear me? The same mind that's sitting there in your body that's reacting to your insistence on being in the present moment is the same mind that is creating a particular future destiny because we're unconscious all of the time. In other words, when you're sitting still, you should notice it. But I want you to know when you're living your life, you're not noticing it, but that's what's running the show. So to become familiar with those unconscious states of mind and body and pay attention to them is the first step. The next step is, once you pay attention to it, is to have dominion, to have the master be in control of the servant and say, okay, you're frustrated. I trained you to be that way. I can't blame anybody else. I can't even blame my mother, although I'd love to. I can't. I got to move into the present moment now and look at the feeling. Remember, we said a feeling is a sensation. It's pain. And if that pain had an emotion, what would it feel like? Oh, it feels like anger. Oh, it feels like responsibility. It feels like disgust. It feels like impatience, whatever it is. Ah, okay. I know you can give me 100 reasons for it, and we can analyze this to the end of time. Forget it. Let's move back into the present moment, and let's relax into the moment and surrender into it. The body begins to surrender into it, and you begin to recondition it to a new mind, and it moves into the present moment, and it begins to relax. And then it says, well, what about this? What about that? And what about that time you were 8 years old and that happened? That's why you are the way you are. And the moment that happens, what do? Come on now. That's the story that has everything to do with my personality that hasn't changed. Okay, let's get right back into the present moment. I'm going to recondition you to a new mind again. Come on, let's relax into the moment. This is where you really want to be. And then it's going to challenge you even greater. But yeah, but you know, you're from this specific culture and they feel this way. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Thank you, but now come back into the present moment. Because greatness has nothing to do with any of those things. Greatness has dominion over the moment. So as you begin to interact on that level and you begin to become familiar with, or you begin to know yourself, would you agree that in your waking day, when those feelings and emotions or those automatic thoughts or attitudes begin to come up, you'll have so much more ability to be able to just change the channel? Yes? And you'll laugh because you'll realize that voice doesn't have the emotional charge it once had. Because the emotional charge is what makes it real for us. So if you're sitting there doing the work in your day before you engage your life, or at the end of your day before you go to bed, whenever you choose to do it, and you do the work so that you've challenged yourself by that, and you've changed it, and you've lowered the volume to that emotional reaction because you sat with it. Can you realize when the thought happens, you're familiar with it and it doesn't have the emotional charge anymore, and you can just go, oh God, stop it, and just keep going? Can you see that? But if you don't attend to it, and it goes by unnoticed, once it goes by unnoticed, it goes right past that analytical mind, right into the subconscious. It travels right down that channel or that track, that nervous system track that feeds the spinal cord that begins to turn the body on automatically. So after lunch, I'm going to ask you when we start up, what emotions do you want your body to experience so that it can begin to think it's in a future event ahead of the actual event? And we're going to run through a series of those, and you're going to communicate with your body emotionally. Now, some would say, well, I haven't had the experience yet, so how do I know? Well, you would be pretty blissed out if you were wealthy. You'd be pretty happy if you were free. But if I said to you, just get in touch with how the event would feel and talk to your body emotionally and allow it to begin to feel the event ahead of the event, and allow yourself to unfold to that degree, so much so that your body begins to believe that the event is happening just because you're emotionally in it. I want you to know now that you are connecting to something differently than the familiar outcome. Do you understand that? And if you're able to then examine your beliefs about yourself, and beliefs are just thoughts that you continuously review over and over, that you wire in your brain, and feelings that you continuously romance and revisit, that you condition your body, that we just repeat our thoughts and feelings, thoughts and feelings, and thoughts and feelings, and that's what becomes our beliefs. So what beliefs do you have about yourself that have stopped you from moving in a different direction in your life? Whether it's being a man or a woman or being a certain race or a certain culture, those are all limitations. Whether it's any of that, if it's living life, thinking that it has to be hard or difficult, or that, you don't deserve this. What are the beliefs that you have? Because we're going to journal those this afternoon, and I want you to know that the moment you remove that belief, hang on, because you're going to have a reorganization of life that's going to reflect a new belief. And it can happen in a moment. So once that begins to reorganize in a new way, would you agree then that you've just gone from this, over and over again? This one creates this one, and then this guy over here creates the next one, and we keep doing the same thing. That you start to reorganize your beliefs. Those beliefs can exist as future possibilities that exist waiting for you in the moment now. Because the quantum model says all possibilities are stacked up on top of each other simultaneously.